Okay, hi, this is Andrew Morrison uh, from Mentoring in Medicine, and we'll be talking about getting ready for finals. So, thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Life is always a journey, and it's always about learning, and it's about growing. And I'm excited to be able to come back and to be able to support you in terms of your own growth. So, first, let me tell you a bit about my story. I was very fortunate to attend a number of gifted programs from elementary school all the way to high school. I went to Bronx High School of Science. And so I was always a very strong test taker. In high school, there were a couple of classes that professors said, "Oh, just read the Regents book, just read the textbook, and you'll get an A." And so at a very early age, I learned the importance of strategy. And many students understand the content, but nobody helps them focus on strategy. So today is really going to be about strategy to really help you develop a strategy that actually speaks to your learning style. When you get to college, those of you who are in college, those of you going to grad school, I discovered that you can get a 4.0 every semester. That it's not that hard to get an A. And what's the formula to getting an A? For every hour of lecture, you spend 1 hour previewing the material. You go to class. After class, you spend another hour reviewing what you just learned. So if you're able to develop a schedule, if you're able to design and commit to a weekly schedule, especially at the college level, guaranteed to get an A. So I've had semesters where I got 4.0s, all A's. I've also had semesters where I had, all C's. Okay. And what's the difference? The difference was I wasn't focused. The difference actually was I became the president of my student union. I kind of got distracted with, campus politics. But one thing I learned is that your grades have nothing to do with your intelligence. I really want you to get that concept. Your grades have nothing to do with your intelligence. Your grades simply have everything to do with how you spend your time. And today is about helping you learn better techniques, better strategies to spend your time more effectively. And so we first begin with the identity. And so I'll be giving you lots of different ideas, but you need to help answer that question of who are you? So on a scale of 1 to 10 right now in the chat room, a 10 means that you're an incredible test taker. A 1 means that you're just poor at taking exams. I want you to give yourself a rating. So right now in the chat room, give yourself a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. Let us know what type of test taker you are, because I'm saying to you that your beliefs, your identity to some degree put you in a box. So if you keep saying to yourself, I have test anxiety, I have test anxiety, then all the techniques and strategies I share with you will not be able to change your identity. Okay. And so I want you to be open to making a shift in who you think you are. And sometimes to go past who you think you are, you have to look at who you think you're not. Okay. So some of you may think, I'm not good at this. I'm not good at memorizing information, when simply no one helped you understand your learning style. Okay. So by understanding your learning style, that's a very effective way for you to be able to, deal with test anxiety. Because ultimately it's about self-talk. What are you saying to yourself on a regular basis? If you can't say anything good to yourself, well, please don't say anything negative, especially when it comes to your academics. Now, it's clear, your past grades influence your confidence, but your past grades, that's a pass. And your past grades is something that you can actually build upon. So, look at grades, look at academics as if it's a mountain. And the first time you try to scale the mountain, maybe you got a C. But guess what? You get to try again. The mountain doesn't get any higher. Organic chemistry doesn't get harder the second time or the third time, but you have a chance to grow. And so it's really important that you recognize that because you can grow, that's the reason why you'll be able to improve your academics. Now, one essential key is for you to take a look at your learning style. And there's this assessment called VARC. I have the link right there for you, where you can learn what type of learner you are. So you want to learn to learn. Are you somebody who's kinesthetic? Do you have to write things out? Are you somebody who is visual? Once you see it, you have it. Are you an auditory learner? You first need to hear it. All of us are a combination of them, but many students don't have a chance to appreciate their learning style and develop a visual or kinesthetic style that really speaks to them. If you take a look at a typical, college lecture, it's a lecture. And so they're speaking to an auditory learner. But if you're visual and kinesthetic, this is why you want to create your own concept maps. You're going to begin to create your own study notes, because that's going to be an effective way for you to be able to retain the information. Next up is take a look at affirmations. I keep saying, what you say to yourself is so critical. So think about creating an affirmation that you can record and play it first thing in the morning. Play it during midday. Play it at the end of the day. That can really help to shift your identity. And so here's an affirmation. I am joyfully studying for my finals. I see myself getting an A in my classes. You have to see it to believe it, then to do it. I'm retaining the information and expressing higher scores on practice questions by applying my unique learning style. I begin my day at 5 a.m. I know some of you may want to fight me on this, but you have to get up early. You have to get up early. You have to get up early. That's probably one of the most powerful habits that you can begin to develop, is to get up early. There's so much information, there's so much science out there that speaks to your brain's ability to retain more information first thing in the morning. So begin your day at 5 a.m. with stretching, exercise, relaxation techniques, and gratitude. Then you can say, I'm capable, I'm confident, and I'm protected. I'm successfully managing my study time, other responsibilities. I'm happy, healthy, productive. And then you say, academic success is my birthright. All right. So that could be your affirmation that you can repeat over and over and over again. And these affirmations begin to sink in. They begin to sink into your subconscious mind. It was William James Bryant, the father of psychology, who said that the subconscious mind has the power to rule the world. And your expectations are very powerful as well. So if you expect to get an A, you'll get that A. Now, it's not simply expecting to get the A. There's also process goals as well. And the process goal speaks to those daily habits. It's Aristotle who said that your future success is hidden in your daily habits. So it's what you do every single day. So we first spoke about identity. Next thing, it's the environment. Your morning and evening rituals. What do you do the first half hour in the morning? What do you do before you go to sleep? All right. You want to optimize that period. The key to getting up at 5 a.m. is really simple. Prepare to go to bed at 9:30. Prepare to go to bed at 9. I have a habit of going to bed at 10 a.m., 10 p.m., and getting up at really 4:30 sometimes, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I may take a nap during the day, but I'm extremely productive. The house is real quiet. I'm able to exercise. I'm able to really focus because I get up early in the morning. Next thing you want to do is you want to minimize all of your distractions. And the biggest distraction is this cell phone. The biggest distraction is, social media. This has really begun to rule us. This is supposed to be a smartphone, but the phone has become smarter than we are. And you want to eliminate, you really have to eliminate certain things, especially if you're focused on upcoming finals. So for the next couple of weeks, let's eliminate social media. I'm encouraging people to start this hashtag called MIA study. That's actually Mia study. I'm actually from Jamaica, so that's kind of a little inside joke. Mia study, so MIA study, and then put hashtag be back May 20th. So let the whole world know that you're studying and you'll be back to social media on May 20th. And so just minimize distraction from television, from friends, friends in the family, you know, you don't want to just drop them. So maybe you can have a time, once a week. So maybe it's Friday evenings, or maybe it's Sunday afternoons. Make it spend an hour or two with family members. But just really, really take a look at what's holding you back. Take a look at some of the distractions that have been preventing you from focused study time. All right. Next up is your physical space. Take a look at your desk, your chair. The lighting. I hope you're not studying in bed. Do not study in bed. Please do not study in bed. There's so much research that points to the fact that that will lead to insomnia. You want to get in the habit of just, don't watch TV in bed. I know what people out there do it all the time, but reserve your bed for sleeping. All right. So just where your body is now trained, as soon as you hit the bed, you go right to sleep. But if you're playing video games in bed, if you're eating in bed, the body doesn't know what to do. And insomnia is real, and you're going to be able to have a more restful sleep. Next up is exercise. Please exercise, exercise, exercise. You want to, go for a walk. So you could even, listen to different audio programs that relate to your subject matter. So exercise is critical. Next up is your diet. You have to begin to eat foods that optimize your cognitive abilities. And there's a whole body of research that points to what they call this Mediterranean diet, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and oils that actually lead to, increased, cognitive skills. And so you are what you eat, and you want to shift to a diet with unsaturated fats as opposed to saturated fats. So basically, whatever is in the can or a bag, I really should say a bag that can last for like a year or two, you should not be eating it, all right, because it actually begins to clog up your arteries and also the blood vessels as well in your brain. You want to sip water during the day. I've got my water right here. You want to drink, lots of water. Many people actually are dehydrated, and a small shift of just like 3% in terms of your hydration level can impact your brain skills. And so just take a look at your environment, take a look at your identity, and now we can start to jump into the content. What's really being tested during your finals. So everything begins with the syllabus. So hopefully, in schools, they really are telling you this is what we'll be teaching you. Go to class, go to lectures, especially at the college level. Some people say, don't go to class, just read the book. But I discovered that going to classes helped me to listen for what's going to be on the exam. And so the professor would say, this is really, really important. You need to understand this. Most students get this wrong. You will see this again. And so I had the ability to literally create an exam, and almost like half of the items that I created were actually on the exam only because I went to class. All right. So be careful. Listen to someone who says, oh, I never went to class. I just did so and so. No, the person that has the exam, the professor, is there every single class period. I think it makes sense for you to listen carefully because they actually want you to do well on the exam. The textbook, many people don't really read a textbook properly. They jump right into a chapter, but take a look at the table of contents. Take a look at the layout, understand the different resources that are in the textbook. Take a look at how a textbook is structured, because you want to begin to structure your notes and your concepts in a similar fashion. Next, we have supplemental materials. There may be handouts, there may be videos, there may be problem sets. All this information really helps you understand what the content is. All right. So assuming that you know what you're going to be tested on, there's a science of memory. And here's an article that I discovered that out of all the articles out there, this article gives you the best overview of the top 10 proven techniques to remember more and learn faster. There's a lot of different opinions out there, but here at Mentoring in Medicine, we've been around for the past 15 years. We personally helped well over 500 young people become healthcare professionals, medical doctors, nurse practitioners, psychologists, and so on. And so I've seen a lot, and I've seen students who are struggling. And this article talks about techniques that are proven to work. So let me kind of quickly go through some of the information that's in here. So sleep on it. Once again, your sleep is important, and you have to. I would say the best thing is to start tonight, and don't fall asleep. Prepare yourself to drift to sleep. Spend a half an hour getting ready. Maybe take a shower or a bath. Have maybe your favorite oils, or if you can, maybe burn a candle. Play some music, do some light reading. But prepare yourself to sleep, and you should not fall asleep looking at social media. So take your sleep very seriously. And the article talks about the importance of sleep and also naps as well. So I take a nap. Yeah, I love my naps. I take a nap, typically between 2 and 3 o'clock every day. Now, if you're in an environment that where you're not able to take naps, there are other things that you can begin to do. You can maybe do some jumping jacks. You can splash cold water on your face. You can eat ice cubes. Something that I used to do when I worked in corporate America. Sometimes if I'm feeling low energy, I would lay on the floor and put my feet up. So my back is on the ground. And I put my feet up on a chair. Okay. And now you're using gravity to really take less of the strain off your heart, and you feel refreshed. And so try that technique the next time you're feeling tired, you're feeling low energy. You'll be amazed. You'll get this boosted energy. Next thing, get moving. Exercise is critical. I spoke before about improving your diet, more fruit, more vegetables, more fish. Mnemonics, all right? You want to find a way to take information and make a word game into it, make a sentence. So, when it comes to I played saxophone as a kid, and every good boy does fine. That's a way to take a look at the treble clef in music. So there's rhyming mnemonics as well. There's a peg system. Many people can remember songs. So take what you're studying and make it into a song. All that's possible. Next thing is the concept called a memory palace, where what you could do, and this is a very powerful uh, technique, is you can visualize your apartment, your house. And if you have to memorize a series of facts or concepts, you can imagine yourself coming to your front door, and there's a concept there. When you come into the front door, you first may see a picture, and you put a concept there. Then you may turn to your left, and there's a bathroom right there. And so in the bathroom, you put an idea. You go into your living room, or you go into your kitchen, you go into your bedroom. So the ways for you in your mind to literally create different stories, and you put these stories, you put these facts inside each room, and you make it very, very animated, and boom, you'll be able to memorize all of these facts in an instant. You can remember more when it comes to chunking information. And so your mind can remember, 4 to 5 things. And so instead of trying to remember, 25 pieces of information, you can actually chunk it down into 3 or 4 pieces of information. That's much easier for your memory. You can make visual connections. And so you can imagine something that's large, that's big, that's funny, that also relates to the concepts that you are trying to learn. And so, and this is a really, really, big one. And I've been sharing, learning concepts for 15 years. And sometimes I kind of want students to kind of do their own thing. But now, like the older I get, the more adamant I get that you have to write it down. Like once again, there's so much research. I know we have our smartphones. I know people are using Quizlet. You're using Anki. You have online flashcards. But there's a saying that says neurons, brain cells that fire together, wire together. And so what you want to begin to do is you want to write things down. So as you write it down, it actually increases your retention of the information. So I know we like our online flashcards, but you want to go back to old school. You want to use index cards. And then with these index cards is a concept called spaced repetition. And there's an idea called the forgetting curve. And so within, I would say this chart shows within 9 hours to 2 days, you've forgotten almost 20% of what you learned. So if every 2 days or so, or 3 days, you went back to what you were about to forget and did that 3 or 4 times and, in 3 cycles, every 3 days, your retention of that information goes up significantly. All right. And then the last piece is to share what you're learning. That's the power of study groups. That's the power of the most powerful way to learn something is to teach it, is to actually say it out loud. So this article right here is actually a perfect overview of different techniques when it comes to the science of memory. All right, next up, let's jump into some learning strategies. So as you're learning something, I'm going to say that these are the most important questions you should be asking yourself. Okay, the first question is, why is this important? If you ask yourself, why is this important? Then that places a priority in your mind to why you should learn it. So don't just jump into what something is. First, ask yourself, why is this important? After you know what it is, then how does it work? Okay, I know what this is. How does it work? And then you have these series of what if statements. Okay, and then this is where you can talk about the function. Well, what if this happens? What if that happens? So if you kind of had this like kind of grid, this kind of matrix of why something is important, what is it? How does it work? And I have a couple of what if scenarios. That's a really powerful way for you to be able to remember information. Next up is time management. It's all about how you manage your time. Your grades have nothing to do with your intelligence. It's all about how you manage your time. So you want to create a weekly schedule and you really want to begin to stick to that schedule. I know your schedule may change over time, but if you're getting ready for finals right now, you want to have a really strong schedule and see what you can begin to eliminate. Some of you are working a job. Maybe you can, reduce the number of hours. Some of you may be doing a volunteer internship. You want to see if you can, delay that maybe to the summer. So you have a couple of weeks left as the semester is over. So why not maximize your time? Next up, let me quickly walk through a study skills presentation that I put together as well. So we spoke about the levels of comprehension. The lowest level is to hear it. You get more sophisticated once you begin to teach it. All right. And then the highest level is when you can begin to animate it, when you begin to make it into a story. I want you to consider creating concept maps. And concept maps is basically a way to connect information. And then you have the information, and then every line represents a distinction. So the circles represents the facts, and the line kind of represents how those facts function. And this is a visual way for you to learn things is through concept maps. And so here's a video on how to create a concept map. I'll quickly show you a concept map. This map is about honeybees. This map is about the cell membrane. This talks about how to mind map. Here's a mind map of health. Here's a mind map of the cells, mechanics, conservation laws. All right, so they're all kind of nervous system. And if you go and draw out something like this, you're much more likely to remember it. States of matter. You first start with gas, plasma, liquid, solid. You're giving examples. conditions. So really think about creating a map like this. Students who are getting ready for medical school, here's some MCAT concept maps, and a lot of benefits to having a study group. There's wisdom in the crowd. You get to share talents. You learn from each other. You benefit from a support system. It keeps you motivated, and you have a chance to socialize. Here's some of the guidelines for a study group. It could be 4 to 6 people. Assign people roles. Maybe 2 or 3 hours. Try to have a regular same day every week. Maybe make a one-page constitution. You may need to ask people to leave if they don't show up on a regular basis. You want to stick to your agenda and also track your progress. And so the lifestyle for mental toughness: drink more water. Drink 3 glasses of water in the morning. Minimize any stimulants in your diet. Now, I know some people are addicted to caffeine. I know it does, boost your attention span. It does work, but you want to, minimize that. So here's a list of fruits and foods, from salmons to blueberries, different ways, celery and peanut butter sticks, avocado, whole grains. Those are all different ways for you to be able to, eat your way into success. Also, some of you may be deficient in a vitamin or a mineral, and a blood test will actually help you to realize that. So next steps is to form a study group. Pick a moderator, timekeeper, a scribe, have a name, have a slogan. And so engage in 90-minute cycle of studying. Pick a question to mind map, and then you can present the mind map to your peers and to others as well. Okay. So basically, you're going from a big picture to a small picture. I mentioned concept maps, mnemonics. Take a look at how you're organizing your notes. You want to organize the notes in a way you can easily retain the information. And by following that example I showed you about why something is important, what something is, how does it work, some what if scenarios, and you write that out. That's a powerful way. You may want to fill your house, your apartment with, post-it notes of different facts that you'll see throughout the day. Think about getting that large sticky paper. I know students who need to memorize amino acids, and they change their entire room into a series of amino acids that they draw all over the place. And so you want to think about just find ways to transform your environment in such a way that it reminds you of what you need to learn and grow. Notebook versus a 3-ring binder. I like binders. And the reason I like binders is because you have your loose leaf paper, and you get to rewrite your notes on a loose leaf paper. And then you have, your sections, and you can always modify that. And your content can grow organically. You can also print things out, hole punch that. And so think about using a binder system as a way for you to be able to, track all this information. We spoke about flashcards. People like Quizlet, they like Anki, they work, but take a look at writing down your cards. Write down, because, when you're learning something, if you just look at it, that's way too passive. You're looking at the cards, I get it right. But when you write it down, it really does help to improve your chances of being able to recall it. Whatever cards you write down, review the ones you forgot in 2 days and really come back to that. Now, you want to review your past exams. If you're coming up to finals, you have probably 3 or 4 different exams. I guarantee you what you took before will show up again. And you want to get into your study group. If your teacher doesn't give out the past exams, as a study group, you can kind of try to remember some of the key questions, and you can look to recreate it. So it's really critical that you analyze what you got right and also what you got wrong. Sometimes people are getting questions right for the wrong reasons. And then if things change, they actually end up getting it wrong. So every single question, you want to break it down, and you can kind of create your own categories. You want to see, was this a math mistake? Was I careless? I tend to get things wrong because I was just sloppy. I was just careless. Did you lack the knowledge? Did you not understand the question? That could be an issue. Did you not know the process? Okay, there's steps to follow. Did you skip a step, or did you miss a fact or a function? All right, so that's a key way for you to be able to realize um, what you got right, why you got it right, and also what you got wrong. And the more you do this, you'll begin to see patterns. And then the purpose of the patterns is for you to be able to correct um, what you're doing. So when it comes to the exam, it's important that you look at past exams. You take a look at sample problem sets. You manage your inner conversation. You know, all of us, there's a whole notion of attention deficit disorder, which I get, but I want to add an S. It's really selective attention deficit disorder. It's really the fact that you're not selective enough in where you place your attention, and your attention goes where your conversation flows. All right. And so as you begin to change your conversation, when you're looking at an exam, looking at a problem set, then you can actually find the answer more effectively because there's a series of questions you're asking yourself. You want to get in the habit of reading slow. Some of you have timed exams. I know you're in a rush, but read slow and only read it once. If you find yourself rereading the question over and over and over again, you're wasting too much time. So it's best to read slow. At the end of every sentence, ask yourself, okay, what did I just read? What did I just read? Okay. And that's the way for you to be able to better understand what's being asked. I'd probably say a lot of students answer questions wrong because they didn't really understand the question. Okay. So half the battle, well, I would say the number one battle is to identify the problem. That you should be able to look at a problem and say, oh, I saw this already. If you're looking at problems in your exams and it's the first time, then you're really lost. And so by you being able to quickly identify a problem, that enables you to go right to the solution. If possible, during your exam, take some notes, develop a grid, have a notation system. So if you're reading a passage, pull out the key information, begin to, write it down, highlight it. So this way, it's much easier for you to be able to apply the problem set. So as I mentioned, attention is essential. And there are a bunch of exercises out there to develop, I call it selective attention abilities, okay? And you want to be able to increase your speed by which you can look at a problem, and you can do this in a group. Let's flash a problem set and quickly share what's the problem, and what are the steps. So you haven't even started to solve the problem, but if you can start to train your mind to look at a problem real quickly and then know what type of problem it is and what the steps are, and if you can talk that out in a group, you'll be a lot more successful in being able to find the answer. And so when it comes to some strategies, if you have like a passage and then you have questions, multiple choice questions, many people discover that by reading the question first helps your mind know what to focus on in reading the passage. So that's a technique that I've discovered works for me, where you speed read the question. Don't look at the answer choices because you can't really answer it. You haven't read the passage. And looking at the answer choices will confuse you, but just read the question, grab a couple of keywords, and now when you go into the passage, you can read it with more direction, more insight. Something else you should be able to do, especially with multiple choice, and here's something you can do in a group, is how quickly can you eliminate two of the answers? All right, so you should be able to, after you have read a passage and read the question, without even looking at the answer choices, you should be able to predict which answer choice is right or what the answer choice should be. Let me say it again. If you do this properly, especially in a timed environment, and you have a passage and you have a question and you have multiple choice, before you start looking at the multiple choice, you should be able to answer the question just by looking at the question. All right, so you should be able to lean toward a certain answer. And now when you're looking at now when you look at the answer choices, you can correctly find the one that already came to you in the question. All right. Another strategy is to write a one-sentence summary of each paragraph. If you're reading through several passages, you can summarize each passage, each paragraph by writing one sentence. But keep in mind that it depends on the format of your test. So if you have a timed exam, multiple choice, select all of the above, open-ended problem sets, these different types of exams require slightly different strategies. I tell people that you first want to practice open book. You want to practice, going slow. Don't worry about the clock. But the more and more you develop the practice and you have your system, your steps, then you can start to go a lot faster. So I know sometimes students worry about the timing. I didn't have enough time. The reason why you ran out of time is because you really reread the question too many times. You didn't know what the answer was. You were second guessing yourself. You weren't confident. So for us to slow down, to speed up, that's probably a very effective way. So ultimately, you want to jump into a study group. In the study group, take turns speaking your knowledge. Once again, if you write something down, once again, if you speak it, explain it to someone else, that really begins to cement the information. So take turns presenting a problem. You want to, even in your group, design exam questions and be able to test each other. And once again, test each other by how quickly you can understand the question. I hope people, understand that concept. So before you jump into answering it, you should look at this and say, oh, this is the type of question. And then as a group, talk about, given this type of question, what are the steps? All right. So strong test takers understand steps. And that's why it's easy. And this is why their confidence is much higher, because it's simply repeating a series of proven steps. So I invite everyone to join our Discord channel. I began to create different channels based upon your areas of interest. You can jump in there. You can begin to share some resources. If you're going to be a moderator, just raise your hand in the channel. Say, hey, I want to be a moderator, and I'll give you moderator rights. And so you'll be able to pin the Google Meet or Zoom link for your study session. And you can pick a time or day for your live stream session as well. So let me jump over to the Discord channel. So this is what it looks right now. Okay, and so once you join the Discord channel, you can introduce yourself, and these are the classes that we've put together so far. And just go in here, type your name, mention that you would like to be a moderator, and start to share resources. And please, share this with your friends. Speak to your principal, speak to your teacher, and see if they can share this in your school. This way we can get more students supporting each other. So in summary, you want to find an accountability partner. I know I've shared a number of ideas with you, but you want to find someone. Doesn't have to be a classmate. It could be a family member or a friend. It could be, your godfather. It could be grandma, but someone else aside from you needs to hold you accountable to some new strategies. So I want you to absorb everything I said today. And if your new strategy is, I'm going to get up early, someone needs to hold you accountable. If your new strategy is, I'm going to get large sheets of paper and write down all of the formulas, I'm going to start to write out my index cards. Someone needs to remind you of your greatness. So find an accountability partner. You want to select a few key strategies. You want to develop and then stick to your schedule. Like this schedule, you got to almost treat this like a job where you have to be there at 2 o'clock from 2 to 4 p.m. I have to do this. And I'm not going to, pick up my phone while I'm doing it. Okay. So you really have to honor your schedule and learn how to say no. Okay. No is actually a complete sentence. All right. So say no. My favorite one is to get up at 5 a.m. I know people fight me on this, but so many students have come back and thanked me when they get up early, get up at 5 a.m., play your affirmation. Before you go to bed at night, I want you to imagine your best day the night before. All right. So before you go to bed, so tonight, I want you to imagine what your week will be like. Tonight, imagine what tomorrow will be like. Imagine yourself studying. Imagine yourself getting up early, exercising. Okay. Cell phone is off. No distractions. All right. Because that imagination speaks to what's possible. You want to exercise more. It could just be jumping jacks. It could be push-ups, sit-ups. Please, please, please get moving and exercise. You want to drink more water. You want to eat right. Form a study group. It could just be one other person. Ask your teachers. Just try your best. I'll try to link students together as well, but you have to do this in community. You have to get in the habit of speaking your wisdom, because by speaking your wisdom, you're able to retain that wisdom. Write it down. I know we're using our laptops, we're using computers, but the notion of writing things down, I cannot emphasize it enough, really will help you retain the information. And you want to create some word pictures. All right, so take these facts, take these figures, and create a word picture around them that helps you to remember it, and ultimately practice, 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 practice these sample questions. So at this point, I want to pause right now, and I want to see if there are any questions that folks may have. You can unmute yourself, or you can type your questions in the chat room. I know I went through a lot of information fairly quickly, but I just really wanted you to realize that there's always a way. All right, there's really always a way, and ultimately, you have to hang out with the A student, because the A students, we have strategies, we have techniques that work over and over and over again. And if you're a C student, it's not because you're not smart enough. It's not because you're not good enough. No one had a chance to present to you information in your learning style. And so I want you to take responsibility. I want you to take ownership of your learning style. And then I really want you to maximize it. Okay, so for me, I want to say this to you again. 4.0, all A's. Okay, I got that a couple of semesters. And how did that happen? Once again, it happened by me going to class. It happened by an hour before the class. So if I have a physics class, Tuesday morning at 9 a.m., Monday night, I spent 1 hour reviewing what was going to be presented the next day. So I didn't go into the class cold. Okay. So my physics class is Monday at 9 a.m. Then on my schedule, Monday afternoon from 3 to 4 p.m., I review what I learned Monday morning. Okay. And so by having a schedule like that, of being able to preview and then review, guaranteed to get an A. Okay. So Joel's, you feel that test taking is very easy. So how do you challenge yourself so that you can keep ahead? So Joel's, I had the same issue. Test taking was easy. So how did I challenge myself? I became a tutor. All right. So I had to teach it to someone else. And I had a gift of actually learning something by teaching it to someone else. All right. And so, Joelle, if you want to push yourself, practice that as well. And it's not that hard. Where you can look at something that someone is struggling with, you know what the answer is, and you're teaching it to them, and you're learning at the same time. All right. That's one of my superpowers. Hopefully, you'll be able to get them as well. So, more questions. Any other questions that folks may have when it comes to how to get that A and study strategies? Anyone want to share a strategy that works for them? And also in the chat room, type in the chat room what class you need the most support with. So let me know what class you need the most support with. And also, I'll make this video available. I'd like you to share with your friends. Share the presentation document as well, because everyone can get an A. is possible once they learn these strategies. And more important, learning the strategies, it's about practicing the strategies as well. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments before we wrap up? I really want to thank you for making the biggest investment, and the biggest investment is actually your time, and your time is not wasted. So, how to deal with test anxiety? So, you want to realize that test anxiety is a habit. All right, and I'm not being harsh with you, but you're supposed to have test anxiety because you don't feel confident that you know the material. And I know, just stay with me for a second, because if you follow this thought pattern, then you will no longer have test anxiety. So imagine you were taking an exam that you already reviewed, that you knew what the answer was, that you did an open book prior. So imagine retaking an exam, you wouldn't have any test anxiety. You're like, oh wow, this is really good. This is easy. And so I'm speaking from the vantage point of a strong test taker, that strong test takers don't have any test anxiety because there are no surprises. So this anxiety comes when there's a surprise. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was going to be on the exam. Oh my gosh, I never actually, mastered this content. And so it's really about, it's not even about knowing the knowledge, it's about knowing the steps. And the more you practice these steps, you begin to minimize test anxiety. And ultimately, there's a type of problem. All right. There are 20 problems on your exam. And they're not surprises. So if you were able to take a problem and practice one of those problem types 50 times, you now have the habit of solving a problem instantly. And this is why ultimately it's a function of managing your time. Because the more you're able to, spend time on practicing these problems, then those neurons are firing together. So when you see it, you respond in an instant. It's almost like martial arts. If somebody has a knife, most people are scared of a knife, but in karate, we're taught a technique on what to do with a knife attack. So because we practice a certain technique over and over again, I know what to do in an instant. All right. And so test anxiety is really because you don't know, which to me is great, because if I do know, I won't have test anxiety. And how do I get to know? It's really practice. It's really practice. Now, aside from that, it's also breathing. It's also self-talk. It's also having more confidence, because many people are changing, their answers. So here's how you can deal with test anxiety. You form a study group, and each of you take turns developing, maybe some true false or multiple choice question, and you begin to test each other. And the more and more you begin to test each other, the more and more you'll begin to increase your confidence levels. How to deal with test anxiety? You need to have a strong test taker talk out loud how to solve a problem. That's probably the number one way, is that you need to replicate a successful student's inner conversation. They're having a different conversation. And if you can have that same conversation, that same pattern, you'll be able to get the exact same results. This is why I go back to a study group being so important. Okay. All right. Any other questions as we wrap up? Well, this has been good. I really want to thank everyone for coming out today. We will make this video available. I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear how well you did in your exams. You can send me an email at andrew@medicalmentor.org. That's andrew@medicalmentor.org. So you're more than welcome. I'll see you at the next Mentoring in Medicine event. All right. Take care. Thanks again.